How you doing, pal?
I am good. How are you?
I am fantastic, and I got some great news here. Great news. Now that COVID is thankfully winding down, we're going to do our first conversation with the Sopranos. First one in since before the pandemic.
First
You know,
post-pandemic live conversations with the Sopranos. We're going to be doing some live events. It's Steve, myself, and Vinny Pastore on stage. We're going to be interviewed on stage. We're going to tell stories. We're going to do behind the scenes, talks and Q&A from the audience. We've done it in a lot of places in the U.S., and we did it all over Australia.
it's a great
It's a
show.
lot
If
of
you're a
fun.
Soprano fan, it's Conversation with the Sopranos live. We got a great comic MC, Joey Cola. We got a great impressionist, Don Tersini. I mean, it's really a lot of fun. It's the podcast plus 10. We're going to kick things off at the Packard Music Hall in Warren, Ohio, October 2nd at 8 p.m. October 2nd, 8 p.m., myself, Michael Imperioli, Vinny Pastore. We answer questions, Q&A, possibly a meet and greet. Now, you could get pre-sales, Michael, through the Packard Music Hall website on Thursday, July 15th from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. with the passcode Packard, Packard.
And then tickets go on sale, general sale tickets go on sale through Ticketmaster Friday, July 16th at 10 a.m. These usually sell out really quickly. I mean, they've done in everywhere we've done it in the U.S. sells out, and Australia was. So I would say, get them quick. It's going to be a lot of people. Everybody's ready to go out and go see live events again.
It's a lot of fun. We have a lot of laughs here. Conversation with Sopranos Live, the Packard Music Hall in Warren, Ohio. Please, anyone, if you're around that area, anywhere, it's worth the drive. Saturday, October 2nd at 8 p.m. It's a good time. Promise you, you're going to have a good time.
Also, a lot of people come up to me or write to me and ask about where to get signed Soprano memorabilia.
Me too, all the time, constantly. Where can I get an autograph picture? Could I get something signed by you?
Because there's a lot of fake shit out there. Let's be honest.
I'll
There's
tell
a
you where
lot
there's
of
some
garbage
fake.
and there's a lot of fake stuff.
Between me and you, Del Frisco, the steakhouse, beautiful
There's a
steakhouse.
fake signed thing.
It's a cigar aficionado with all of us. My signature's fake. Maybe yours is too.
I could
Mine
tell.
is
I got to
fake.
look at it.
Yeah.
But if you want to get authentic stuff, a great place to go is sopranosmemorabilia.com. They have tons of pictures. They have posters, lots of different items that we have actually signed, and we know it's real because we actually signed it.
Absolutely. You go, you ask for less. Sopranosmemorabilia.com. You'll find something for yourself or a gift for someone else. They got softball jerseys, hockey jerseys,
Photographs,
posters, books, baseballs.
license plate.
Not just from me and Michael,
Yeah,
but from a
fun
lot
stuff.
of Soprano cast members.
And we guarantee that it's real.
Yep.
If you get it there, it's real.
Sopranosmemorabilia.com. What's happening there, pal?
How are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. You know me. What the fuck do I got to beef about? But today we have an incredible guest.
Yeah,
I
I'm
can't
very-
believe he's even doing this. That shows you what a good guy he is. And I know he was a huge fan of the show, and he is. And
I'm a huge fan of his. I mean, he's really one of my favorites. From the first time I saw him on TV up until right now, I mean, he just knocks me out. One of the great comedic talents of our generation. He is an actor, a comedian, a director, a writer, a producer. Starred in, co-wrote, co-created The Office, the UK version, the original version. Nominated for 14 Emmys.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Written and created such successful series as The Office, Extras, Ricky Gervais Show, Derek, and currently Afterlife.
which I love. He's hosted the Golden Globe 5 times.
And appeared in numerous films and TV shows. Please welcome our very special guest, Ricky Gervais.
Hey, Ricky, thanks for doing this, pal. Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure.
How are you?
Good.
Everything's all right? So, I remember you coming to the set when, I don't know was it the last season, maybe season 6? I remember you coming to the set and hanging out and
I remember
you.
the scene. I remember the scene.
Yeah, what was it?
It was when they get told about the blowjob.
Oh. That's an
I
iconic
remember
scene.
bits that didn't make the cut, even. I was there. I was there for a really good scene.
It's a very notorious scene and a famous one.
The famous rumor that Adriana blew Tony. All right, that was it. All right?
No. The one with Vito.
Oh, Vito's blowjob. I thought it was the other one.
Yeah. It's like it was the big revelation was when he goes, no, it was the other way round.
Oh, that's right.
Pitching, not catching, or catching, not pitching. No.
That's a great scene in the back of the pork store. That's where it was.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And Paulie Walnuts. I don't think it made the cut, but in the scene, he got up and washed his cup.
Yeah, that was a bunch of us back there. That was a great scene.
No, it was a good day to pop in because everyone was there. But it's one of 1,000 great scenes. I've said before, I voted The Sopranos the greatest TV show of all time, and that really is saying something. It just had everything. And it got better and better and denser because it was about character and everything about it, the casting, the writing, the direction, the storytelling, everything about it was great. And I came to it a bit late, which I usually do, and most people come to great things late, is because they're around forever and everyone tells everyone they're great, and soon everyone watches them, and this is no exception. And so I already had, when I came to it, I had a backlog of series to watch. So I had like 5 series to watch, and then I caught up with the last couple of series. I assume we can do spoilers in this show, can't we?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I remember we had dinner, Michael, on the day that you got whacked, and I hadn't seen it yet. And I walked into the restaurant, and you went, "So they whacked me?" I went, "For fuck's sake, I haven't. I'm watching it tonight." Yeah. And that scene is still incredible. Every series there was a surprise of things they'd you push the envelope, just tiny little bits, it was great. It was like an art factory because I'd never seen anything that prolific and that good. Usually when you get that much of something, it's not the best thing in the world, but this was. And it's a masterpiece, And then I gauge everything by it. So when I see a new series, I say it's up there with Sopranos. It's still the paradigm. There's a few series that they're amazing, and it's up there with the Sopranos. So I mean, there can't be any greater compliment than it is the paradigm for what good TV is. Good TV drama around the world. I watch drama from all over the world. I rarely watch English and American drama now. And The Sopranos still number one. So yeah.
For some reason the show is a really big hit in the UK, and even our podcast, we have a lot of people watching in the UK. And do Can you explain why that is, or is there some kind of crossover connection?
We're really smart.
That sounds right.
I can't. No, I think it's pretty universal. As I say, on the face of it, I didn't want to watch it because I thought it was an HBO sweary, out there, cutting edge, gangsters, murders, sex, drugs, rock and roll for the sake of it, and I resisted it. And then when you watch it, you go, well, that's it's just real life, and it doesn't need to be about gangsters. Those characters are amazing. They could have been policemen or the army or anything like that. But what makes it great that it's gangsters is the jeopardy. So with all that, when if you screw up and you work in an office, the worst thing that happens to you, you get told off or you get fired. If you screw up and you're in the mafia, you get killed. So
there's no room for error.
The drama's heightened because what I loved about it, I fell in love with it when the first episode. I thought, oh my God, it was the way Tony was talking to the therapist. He had to keep it quiet that he was there because any sort of weakness was bad in his job. He couldn't tell her what really he did. And I remember the line when he said, there's no Gary Coopers anymore. And I thought that was so poignant because he was a man who thought he had great honor and he was doing the right thing and the world was crazy. And really he was sort of a man out of touch and out of time, but he had the weight of the world on his shoulders. He still had all this admin. He was a gangster, but he had admin. He had home life and kid trouble and all these things, and it all had to be top secret. And I thought it was funny that he got stressed and he had mental problems and all these things, and all he wanted to do was be the top gangster, And it was lovely that they treated it real. He had normal life. He just happened to be the head of a family, and that's what intrigued me because I think it's true. I mean, I made a study of the minutiae of normal life. The Office was a study of like trivia. That you pick up symptoms if you work next to someone and you've been there longer than them and they get a better chair. You go, why haven't? And I've always thought that doesn't matter if you work in a grotty office in a paper merchant's or you work at NASA or you work for the Cosa Nostra. You're going to be annoyed if someone gets a better chair than you. And that's what's exciting about it because it's about humanity. It's about human behavior and all those things that get on your nerves. Again, it's just when it gets on Tony's nerves, he beats you up. That's the difference,
Or murders you.
Ricky, who was your favorite character on the show?
Well, I think the focus. I'm a purist, so I think the focus was Tony because I thought that I liked the fact that he had the weight on the world of his shoulders. That he was like it was like a dad with all these problems. And he had to go out and kill people and not get caught by the FBI. So I like the focus. But then when you've been with it that long, you realize it's an ensemble piece of maybe 5 or 6 core characters and then another 18 and then another, it's a world. It's a world. So I probably couldn't choose because every storyline was so good. And also, I like the fact that it wasn't just family, literally, that the gang was the family. And I think that's an important thing, particularly in something like sitcom. It's always about a family, whether it's literal or, metaphorical. It's all about people thrown together with a common cause, but they want different things. And that's where the conflict comes from. And I also think the thing about sitcom, which makes it funny, is that some way we're trapped. You're trapped in a job you don't like. You're trapped with a family you don't like. You're trapped. And obviously they were trapped by the lifestyle. They couldn't get out. They couldn't get out. So they were trapped. And that's what makes it exciting, because otherwise they could just go, if there would be no show, if people would go, listen, Tony, I don't like this. I don't want to get in trouble with the police, and I don't want to annoy the boss. So I'm gonna go and train to be a computer salesman. If they went, okay, thanks for your help, there'd be no show.
No.
So it's about being trapped by your own as well. You're trapped by your own. That was fantastic.
What you said about not wanting to see it at first. I kind of felt that way about The Office. I was working on a movie, 2002, and the director said, "You got to see this show, The Office. It's about a company that sells paper," which obviously didn't, okay. And someone finally gave me the DVD set, and it had a picture of David Brent looking very serious. And I'm like, they were saying how funny this show is. And I'm looking at the cover. It's like, there's nothing funny about this cover.
No.
Absolutely nothing. And I put it on. I remember watching it. I'm like, what is it? As at first you don't know where he's coming from or what his thing at first. And then when I got it, I just was all in from the very beginning and watch it very often, actually.
Well, the important thing about The Office was that as soon as you realized it was a fake documentary and this man wanting to be famous, it all made sense. If that was just the eye of God set in an office, yeah, there'd been some crazy characters and it'd been quite funny. But as soon as you realize that David Brent wants to be famous because he thinks that'll make his life better, then you're hooked, because you get it. Because we're all searching for something. We're all looking for something, and I think we see that in David Brent. And comedy, I think a staple of comedy, probably the most important thing, particularly in sitcom, is it's about an ordinary guy or girl trying to do something they're not equipped to do, and that's what we like to watch. We like people really, really trying their hardest, and it's funny when they fail. Winning isn't funny. Winning's not funny at all. Comedians come out and tell you what a great day they've had. You go, yeah, tell me a fucking joke. What do you mean? Tell me about a terrible day you've had. Same as if someone's telling you what an amazing holiday they had, you want to go, tell me that he got drunk and you got chucked off the plane. Don't tell me what a great. It's no good to me. It's like, that's no. So I think that's particularly British. I think failing.
Although one of the most satisfying endings in the Christmas special, when he gets the girl and he tells Finchy to fuck off and he walks out with her, a beautiful, just like very satisfying, very like he found love.
It's funny because it's not a big thing. He doesn't win the lottery. He doesn't become president. No. All he does was start respecting himself a little bit more, just a tiny bit, and that's all we want. If he was a real person, we'd sit him down and say, "You don't have to be on all the time, David. You're an all right bloke. You don't just chill. Just chill. It's fine. It's okay."
So the backstory would be he decided to let this film documentary because he thought this was his ticket out.
That's exactly right. That's the type. He made that deal with the devil. Make me famous, and you can go through my bins. And then it just never works. And time after time, still reality stars. They go, "Oh, this is not what I expected." No, tell me about it. It's like they think everyone's on their side. You see it all the time in these talent shows where these people go, "Oh, please, I want this so much." I want to go, "What's that got to do with me?" What so you want it so much? Well, do something about it. Work for it then. Don't involve me.
Ricky, you started out as a musician, right? Then you started doing stand-up. Did you always want to act, or did it just come?
No, I mean, I guess I've always been a show-off, an entertainer. I think classic story. Probably the youngest by a lot of 4 children. So my next oldest brother was like 11 years older than me. So I had that to compete with. They'd broken down the barriers. So, life was fun as a kid. Everything was about having a laugh. So there was that. But no, I never thought I never thought it was a job. I never thought, in fact, I went through school, I went through academia, I went to college because I thought I wanted to be a scientist of sorts. And then when I was 20, I got a record deal, and that failed almost immediately. And then I just got a normal job, and the normal job I got was in an office, and I worked in an office for 8 or 9 years. And I'd always been, I suppose, a natural comic. I was always the funny guy, but everyone I knew was.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, it's like you don't get one funny guy in a town. You get 1,000 funny guys in town, and none of them think of becoming a professional comedian. When I was a kid, there was half a dozen professional. You think, well, wow. But anyway, back to work. We've got to get a proper job. It wasn't. So I fell into it really, and I got a job from working in an office when I was about 36, 37 at a local radio station. And I was popping up on air. I was meant to be providing stuff for the DJs, but I thought, because I was lazy, I'll read it. And I went on, and I was funny, because I think it was like a Trojan horse. They were sort of playing records and saying things, and I was interrupting them and annoying them. And it sort of hooked on, and I got a call about a new show that was starting up on Channel 4 called The 11 O'Clock Show. It's sort of like SNL, but no holds barred. Like, it wouldn't be allowed nowadays. And that was my break. Then I started writing and performing it. And the character I had was like a bad news reporter who'd start reading the news and then start putting his own views in. Like, he'd say, nurses are on strike today. Go, don't get me started on nurses. Oh, and then that was the riff. And then I thought, oh, I'm like a stand-up now. I should try it. And then I did stand-up. And so it all sort of happened 1999, 2000, and then 2001 was The Office, and that was definitely that was the quantum leap. And then it's all happened at once. I had my fingers in a lot of pies, so I did The Office. I was doing stand-up. I was popping up in films. I started a podcast. So I just thought, oh, this is my job now, to do everything and try and be funny.
Comics that influenced you when you were starting out?
I like the guys who weren't scared to say stuff. I always preferred that to the happy, silly stuff, the jolly stuff. So a lot of it was American stand-ups, like like every comedian. I'm gonna say all the comics that all the comedians say. I'm gonna say, Pryor and Chris Rock, but I did like the slick ones. I liked Jerry. I thought Jerry Seinfeld was great, and one of my favourites in England was Billy Connolly, right? Who just shambled out and just told stories. And I always thought that I wanted to sort of cross the slickness of writing of people like Jerry with that shambolic telling stories of Billy Connolly, and then then my thing became sort of taboo subjects, discussing taboo subjects, saying things that, pretending to say things that shouldn't be said. But really, I was quite careful, and I'd looked at them at all angles. I think some people thought I was like a shock comedian, but I never thought I was, because I could explain everything I said. I didn't go out there and just say the worst things possible. I often used irony to and I'm still having to explain myself. Even today, I'm still having to say, no. Sometimes we say things we don't mean for comic effect. And you as an audience, you laugh at the wrong thing because you know what the right thing is. But these are not my real views. I'm a comic. If I just said my real views, it would be a lecture. It wouldn't be a comedy show.
Yeah.
You don't mean every joke you say, So that sort of became my thing, I guess. And then the Golden Globes, I suppose I got this image of, saying terrible things to the most powerful people. But again, I didn't say anything that bad. I've never said anything that bad. I don't go after things that they can't help. I go after their public behaviour, things that are already in the papers. And what do? I tease them a little bit. And I think the first one, it blew people's minds because they haven't seen it before. Like, who was this fat Brit? How dare he talk to these multi-millionaires? Right? And then by the end, I think I had the room a bit more. Like the last one, I think the public were going, yeah, go on, say it. Why are we listening to celebrities? Why are we being lectured by celebrities about global war? Why are they telling me to recycle when they went there in a private jet? Yeah. And so after 10 years, it sort of I sort of came in line with much more what the general public thought. But yeah, the early days, people thought I shouldn't be saying these things, which I never understood. But I never thought I'd done anything wrong. You know, I just didn't get it. I didn't get the reaction.
Has anybody, Eric, any of the celebrities that you break their balls on the Golden Globes, which I've watched every one that you've hosted, does anybody ever come up to you and say, you know, you're out of fucking line, don't talk about me? You know, anybody get pissed off?
No, I don't go after scary people. I go.
You only go after people you know you could beat the shit out of. Is that it? All right, I got you.
Yeah, I've never slagged you off, for example.
Not yet. Have you noticed in the last couple of years, has what you do and your style and your work become more difficult? Have you had to be more careful because of the atmosphere of political correctness and cancel culture?
Sort of. I have to make sure my sort of jokes are bulletproof. I have to, well, you know, that makes you a better comedian if you have to think about stuff, you know. But it's not like I try and make it that it's not taken the wrong way or doesn't offend. All I do now is I know it's going to be taken the wrong way and I know it's going to offend, so I better be able to defend it. What you can't do is know what's going to be offensive in 10 years' time. And so, you know, obviously people are getting cancelled now for things they said 20 years ago, which is crazy. You know, often they've changed and they've moved on and they've apologized, but still, so you can't legislate against that. But if someone wants to be offended, they will be. There's nothing you could do about it, and you shouldn't try. You've got to do your thing. You've got to be able to sleep at night. You've got to be able to argue it, I think, face to face with someone, say, "What? No, that's not the joke." You know, because a lot of offence is people mistaking the subject of a joke with the actual target, and then not necessarily the same thing. So people say you shouldn't joke about this, and I go, "Well, you can joke about this. It depends what the joke is." And, you know, as we said at the beginning, a joke isn't the window to a comedian's true soul. You say things you don't mean. You know, this thing about a joke is right wing or left wing. Well, I'll pretend to be right or left wing for that joke. If the joke's better, I'll change a joke halfway through and go, do you know what? It'd be better if I came down on this side because that's more, and that's going against this and going. So there's no way of knowing what I don't want to know how a comedian votes. I want to know if their joke's good. And I want everyone to laugh in that room. I don't want half of them to go, why is he having a go at my president? Or why is he having a go at my... I want everyone to laugh because the joke's so good, you know? And as soon as someone comes out there and starts telling you their angle and their politics, just tell me a joke, mate. I don't care. I don't care how you vote. Are you funny? I'm paying you to be funny. I'm not paying you to tell me who I should vote for, right? So that's, you know, I try and keep politics out of it, really.
Yeah, very smart. When you do the Golden Globes, you don't have to show them what you're doing beforehand, do you?
I show them just beforehand. I show the lawyers. You have a thing called, what's it called? Ours is called Taste and Decency, where you can be breaking broadcast law. So you can't libel anyone. You can't say anything that isn't untrue unless it's, you know, obvious satire. You can't swear. All those that are actual technical laws. So that's what they look for. But they've never told me not to do a joke because they don't like it or they get a complaint. To be fair, they've never stopped me saying anything. And I'm pretty I'm pretty good anyway. I was the head of speech, so I know all the rules. I know all I don't want to libel anyone anyway. I don't want to do those things, and I can do it without swearing, if I have to. I'm cool with it. And no, they've never stopped me saying a joke because they didn't like it or they thought it was, offensive. So that's great. It was funny because the last time I did it, there was more people in the room. Now, I don't know that because that was a sign of the times or because, they just wanted to hang out with me for 20 minutes. But there was about 15 people in the room. So I showed them the monologue and the tough crowd. I did it and they went, yeah, it's fine. There was one joke where I said, the world got to see James Corden as a fat pussy. He was also in the movie Cats. I always saw that. And then I go on and say, Dame Judi Dench said it was the role she was born to play because she likes nothing better than plonking herself down on the carpet, lifting up her leg, and licking her own minge. Right? So this is the only joke they said. So they said yes to everything else. They went, it's fine. They said just one thing. When you say pussy there, you mean because he was in Cats, don't you? And I went, yeah. And I went, okay. I thought, fuck me, this is easy. This is fucking easy. And then one lawyer went, minge. I said it's a quaint little English term for and they went and they looked it up and they said, they say it's a vulgar term. I said, well, of course it's a vulgar term. It's a slang for vagina. What? Of course they're all vulgar terms. I went, and they were, and they all started going. I said, you won't get a complaint. Americans don't even say minge, right? And I said, well, what can I say instead? This was just to avoid getting it bleeped. But, I said, because I said it ruins the joke if you bleep it, because they don't know what I've said. They think somebody said much worse. And so all I was trying to do was get it not bleeped. And I went, what can I say instead? And someone said, well, you could say vagina. I went, that's so much worse. Now I'm talking about Dame Judi. That's worse, right? And then you come up with things like, I said, silly things like flange. They went, that's part of a sink. I went, okay. And I went, really? I said, I'll just say minge. No one, you won't get one complaint, right? And they went, okay, say minge. We won't bleep it. But they did, and I knew they would, so I pointed. So everyone, you gotta be prepared.
Good move.
Hey, Ricky, did you like what they did with the American Office?
Yeah, I thought it got better and better, and I wasn't really involved after the first few, and even then it was still their thing. But luckily, they let me be involved up until the making of it and the casting and all that. And the first episode was actually, almost word for word. But then, you launch the ship and you've just got to walk away. Which I did. I wished them luck and I liked it. But they went for, what'd they go for? 300?
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very popular now. It seems like they're getting a new audience, kind of like The Sopranos, a younger.
I think it was the most watched sitcom on Netflix the last couple of years. Crazy, but you've got to let it go. It can't be yours. I sold the rights for them to do theirs, and I encouraged them. Before we cast, they said, "Why don't you play the main character?" And I said, well, what's the point of that? I've done mine. This has got to be made by Americans for Americans. That's the point. It was, I mean, it's a remarkable feat, just the thought of doing that for that long. So I'm very grateful for Steve Carell every day that he put his life on hold for 7 years.
They talked about having Gandolfini at one point replace him. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we talked about it on the podcast, me and Michael. I think before James Spader and after Carell, they offered Jim, I want to say $4 million to play him for the season, and HBO paid him $3 million not to do it. That's a fact.
Well, that's a good decision.
Yeah. And they paid him, so he stayed with them. And Jim was going to do it because he hadn't worked. And it was a number of years removed from when the show ended. And that's for sure.
So they paid him that to keep the legacy of The Sopranos pure.
Well, I guess that, and also he had a deal with them. He was doing the night of. He was developing that.
Oh, right. Okay.
They just wanted to keep him.
I wasn't really involved by then, and it certainly had its day, but its peak, I thought it was great. But you can't keep the level of quality over 300 episodes. Of course, some episodes are going to be better than others, and of course, it's going to wane here and there. I mean, it's an unrealistic expectation to think you can do 300 amazing episodes. It's out of the question, even with 24 writers and 19 producers or whatever. Which is why The Sopranos is so remarkable. I mean, again, go back to it. It's remarkable.
I've said it on this show, and I've said in a lot of interviews in the last year, that Afterlife is my favorite show on TV right now. I just devoured it, and I just love it. I love every minute of it and all the characters and what you're doing. And you just shot another season?
Just finished a couple of weeks ago. I've had 2 weeks in the edit, so another 10, 12 weeks in the edit, and then 2 months translating it into 160 languages. I don't have to do that, luckily.
It's good.
But yeah, this would be the last one, and this is more than I've done of anything ever. This is 18, 25 minutes is my record.
It's your record. And is it ending? Is there a proper ending to it in the last episode? Kind of.
Yeah.
Well,
but I mean, there's no. It depends what you mean by a proper ending.
Sure.
But yes, everything resolves, and you're left with a flavour. I push it a bit more, and I think you always try and make it a bit funnier and a bit more dramatic and a bit more artistic and a bit more honest and a bit more this and that. So it's lovely that when even though it's sad to say it's the end, as you know that, you can really go for it more. Right. You can really burn bridges and extract the drama and the sadness and the pathos and the funny, knowing that it's the end. So I know it's the right decision, even though I miss it. I mean, halfway through I was missing it. I was thinking, why am I ending this? This is so much fun. There's so many great characters. Everyone here is my friend. We're laughing all the time. It's the most fun I've ever had. Why am I ending it? Well, because it'll make it better is the answer. Ending it makes it better.
What was the inspiration for
Well, a couple of things, really. I was on tour with Humanity. So, what was it, 2017? And I'm playing arenas around the world, but I felt guilty that I had my days free, right? So I thought I should write another sitcom. I remember thinking that I should write another sitcom. And I started with something more traditional, that it was going to be a guy going through a divorce. And, I thought, well, yeah, I wanted to push it a bit more. Oh, what if it's worse than that? What if he loses everything? What if he loses his wife? What if he loses his wife and he wants to kill himself? Then he wouldn't be afraid of anything. What if he was a nice guy in turn? So it was almost like a comedic vigilante sort of thing, that he wouldn't be scared of the consequences. So I suppose it was almost like a little thing as cancel culture was coming in. Why is everyone worried about what they say? What if you didn't worry about what you said because you didn't care about living? Then it would be like a superpower. And that was it. That was the seed. And then I had to think, what's losing everything? Well, the love of his life. Why doesn't he kill himself? The dog's hungry. So that all came in like 2 minutes. And that was the seed. And that's the thing that kept it going. Then everything else, like, she leaves him a diary. So it comes with just building all these things, building until you get. And I was worried. I thought, can you start a sitcom with a woman who's clearly dying of cancer and is now dead, and a guy who wants to kill himself? Is that funny? What's funny about that?
I mean,
honest is funny.
Yeah.
I think honest is funny. Just saying what you feel is funny. They're the funniest.
Ricky, I watched it at the beginning of lockdown, and it was so funny and so fucking sad. I mean, I'm saying to myself, why the fuck am I watching this? But it was so good.
Yeah.
So fucking good. I mean, really, I can't wait to see, your third season here. And how do you mix the funny with the real sadness?
Well, it has to be character driven. So as soon as once you realize why this man is acting like this, you're with him. Once you know he's lost his wife and he's not taking any more bullshit, you're with him. You're with him. You're with him for two reasons. One, you go, I wish I could do that, but I still want to live. So I have to bite my tongue. I wish I could tell my boss what I thought. I wish I could fucking tell that. We can't. So you like that. You almost envy. Your envy is freedom. And two, you're laughing because, once again, it's a man doing something he's not equipped to do. He thought he had a superpower and he could say anything, but he couldn't, because he was nice to his dog. He was nice to the old lady in the graveyard. He was nice to his nephew. He was nice to the new girl. So he was burdened with a conscience, because basically he's trying to be a badass, right? And he can't be, because he's not. He's a nice man. Yeah. So that's his Achilles heel. He can't do what he wants. He's not Charles Bronson in Death Wish. He's an ordinary guy who needs a hug, but he's refusing to. He's still, but he's fighting. He's fighting to be alive. That's the important thing. He's getting up every morning. He's drinking every night, but he's getting up every morning, and that's all we want from a character. If they give up, it's no good. It's no good. It's no good. It's no good in The Sopranos, and it's no good in Laurel and Hardy. It's no good in either way. Laurel and Hardy's great because they never stop trying. If they just said, "This is pointless, Stan. Let's go." It's no good.
Let's not be barbers. This doesn't work. We'll never get anywhere being barbers.
Well, it's also very similar in The Honeymooners.
Right?
He never gives up. Always trying. Ricky, you work with a lot of the same actors, kind of like a little troupe that you have over the years. Yeah. And what is it? Because obviously you've become friends. You trust them. You enjoy them.
It's lots of reasons. I like them, and I know they're good. And I don't want to work with arseholes. I don't want to work with an arsehole if it guaranteed me an Oscar, because life's too short. Okay, it's not what I don't. These horror stories of, oh God, yeah, we got the film, but he turned up late. He was not. Forget it. Do something else. Right. So I know they're all good. They do their thing, but most importantly, I know what they can do. And so when you first start in the business, you cast and you try and find someone, and you're at the mercy of what they're like them for the next 10 weeks. You don't know what they can do. They got the part right, but you don't know who you're writing for when you've written the script. If I cast this before I'd written the script, so I know who I was writing for, so I can put in their physicalities. I know the ones that can ad lib. I know the ones that do this, that. So I can get the perfect cast together for the script, because it's going at the same time. So there's no surprise. So it's laziness on my part. It just makes it's like writing the second series of something straight away. Do you know what I mean? You hit the ground running. So I get so much in the can. I shoot with 2 cameras. We do the script, then we ad lib. These episodes come in at 40 minutes and I lose 25, you know?
Wow.
Wow.
What do I do? I've got 25 minutes. I lose like 15 minutes per. So I'm losing funny stuff. And so what you're left with is pretty pure.
So the first take, you'll stick to the script, and then first couple of takes, and then you kind of start improvising and
improvising. And what's really funny is, depending on what the scene is, you can do the script. You can have 25 minutes of script, and then 10 minutes of improv, and then you're laughing at the improv. It's really funny because you're pushing the boundary and you haven't heard it before, and it's the funniest thing ever. Then you get in the edit, and the scripted stuff is the king. Because it's driving the plot.
Interesting.
All the ad libs in the world are funny, but they don't drive the plot because you're saying what's the funniest thing there and then. But the script, you know, so eventually it just cuts away. But what you're left with is this sort of homeopathic essence of funny and real. So it looks like the script, but like they said it for the first time. Right. So it's the best of both worlds.
Interesting.
Hey, Ricky, you know, why do you think? And me and Michael have talked about this. I mean, in Hollywood or wherever, they keep on hiring fucking assholes. You know, over and over and over. And like you say, you know, you sign up for a show, and you know they're signed up for 5 years, and they say, well, I'm going to be working with this guy. We know he's a problem. He's going to be a problem. But yet they continue to fucking hire them over and over and over. You know,
all I can say is they must be really good because I think it comes down to money, doesn't it? But the thing is with arseholes, if you don't like someone and they don't perform well, then you get rid of them. Whereas if you're a nice guy and you don't perform well, I reckon you get a second chance. And I like that. I like that people are. I've heard stories of shows where they lost someone because he was an arsehole, and they kept someone on because they were nicer, and they worked on that. And I think you've got to realise that the people behind the scenes want a nice time as well. So hopefully what goes around comes around. Yeah. And they get away with it for a while, but I think they're living on borrowed time. I like to think they are. It gets around. If you work with someone and they're an arsehole and you talk to someone, they go, yeah, he was an arsehole to me too.
Yeah.
And I think more and more people are talking about it now. I think more and more people are going, don't work with him, he's an absolute arsehole. Like people have said that to me, I go, oh really? Oh, okay. And so I don't think you can get away with it forever. You know, you can change, but depending on how bad I think good guys win in the end. I like to think so anyway.
On the Sopranos, anybody fucked around. The next episode, you were whacked, so everyone behaved.
Well, that's it. You can do that. You can write them out. You can write them out. You know. But I obviously haven't worked with any. I can't think of anyone that I just think, oh my God, I'm going to get my own back. You know. Some people are better than others, and some people, you know, are more reliable than others. But I work with the same people because they tick every box. They're good, they're funny, and they turn up. I think if I did a lecture to young actors, I'd say turn up on time and be nice to everyone. Then learn your lines, then act well. Yeah. Because you know, I think and be nice to the runner because they're going to be a producer before you're a big shot. Just be a fucking normal person. You can act, so act like a normal person.
Yeah. 1,000%. 1,000%.
Listen, before we go, I'm going to point out one of the funniest moments in the history of comedy comes in David Brent, Life on the Road, when he yells at the beginning of Equality Street. That yell. One of the funniest things I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm going to leave it at that. If you haven't seen it, the audience hasn't seen that, just go and watch that.
Thank you.
I don't know why that just kills me over and over again when I watch that. It's just
Cheers.
that's
Hey,
a good, man. Life on the road is awesome.
Oh, thanks,
that
man.
was really
Thank you
funny.
very much.
Really, really funny. Hey, Ricky, what you think of the ending of The Sopranos?
Right. We're not doing spoil. I won't do spoilers. I'm going to say, and I know the controversy about it. I liked it, right? And I'll tell you why I liked it. If we'd have seen what a lot of people thought they saw and wanted to see, you can't watch it again.
Mm.
I don't want to watch it again going, oh, but he's, I don't want that in my mind, and so I thought it was a brave ending, and I thought it was and I mean, why do people need you to tell them everything that happened? You might as well have come on to the end and go, hi guys, we just like to say and then what Tony did later was, people say to me, are Tim and Dawn still together? I want to go, that's up to you. You know what I mean? It's, why do you need to know everything that happened? What's up with imagination? What's up with imagination? I liked it. I liked everything about The Sopranos. Yeah. And I'm sure I liked some bits more than others. I had to put them in order, the 1,000 things in order. But on the whole, it's untouchable.
Well, thank you very much for doing this today. It's really an honor to have you. We really appreciate it, man.
Really, Ricky, thank you so much, man. Much appreciated. You be well. I'm looking forward to the next Afterlife. Do you know when it comes out?
Well, either just before or just after Christmas, depending on what is its scheduling. I'm going to leave that up to Netflix. I'll be around to promote it. The good thing about being on Netflix is they don't ask you to do 38 different talk shows. They send out an email, and they've got 200 million subscribers. Yeah. So it's great. Or you just worry about making it as good as you can, and that is, and it's always there. That's it. So, but hopefully by the end of the year, if not just after.
Well, much appreciated. You be well, and thanks again, my friend. Thank you.
All the best. Take care.
See you later, guys.
Great. Thank you. Wow.
Ricky Gervais.
That was a great interview. I enjoyed talking to him. He is a true genius, and he was before, and then Afterlife is just incredible. For those of you that haven't seen it, catch up and then watch the new season. I mean,
yeah, it's interesting to see the evolution of the shows that he's created over the years, because they kind of keep topping each other in a way.
Oh, it's so good, so good. Let's take a break and let's get into the episode. Boy, I enjoyed that. I gotta tell you, man. I know that you're friendly with Ricky, and you've been out to dinner with him, and I can't believe he came on our podcast. Really, I am a huge fan of his stuff, as you are, and he couldn't have been nicer. And I remember meeting him a few times before this, but I really enjoyed that as much as any episode we've done. And that was great, man. But today we have a great episode. I know you like this one a lot.
This is a big one. This is a big, meaty, very bold, very brave. We thought Test Dream was kind of going out on a limb. This is almost even stranger in many ways.
You're going to have to help me out here, because I'm not good with this esoteric kind of,
I think you're better than you think you are. We'll get into it. We'll get specific. It's called Join the Club.
Season 6, episode 2. It aired March 19th, 2006. Really towards the end now. Now we're coming
15 years ago.
Really towards the end.
9.8 million people watched it that night. And, remember the last episode, he got shot. So everyone wanted to see what happened. There were no trailers, no highlights for this episode. At the premiere that year, if you remember, they showed this one. They didn't.
I don't remember. I was
they didn't
probably drunk.
They didn't. I'm sure. So was I. They didn't show the first episode, which that's usually they showed either the first or
two.
sometimes the first two.
Yeah.
This year they only showed episode 2 because they didn't want everyone knowing that he gets shot. Although he is shot in the episode, so it's kind of.
This is the 8th of 9 episodes for which David Chase he receives individual writing credit. Now let me ask you something, because I read something that they shot some of the hospital scenes in California.
Well, they definitely built some hospital stuff at Silver Cup. They had. We did shoot in New Jersey. Some of the waiting room stuff, the cafeteria, that was in Jersey.
Of course.
Actually, the waiting room might have been on Silver Cup. I don't remember. I read that too, that something in North Hollywood. I don't know what scenes were shot there.
I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all.
But there was some of it was shot in Irvine, California, in Orange County.
Like what and why?
The hotel. Some of the exteriors of the hotel. Yeah. That I know. It's directed by someone who only did one episode, who I like very much and liked working with very much, David Nutter.
Yeah, I like him also.
He's been nominated for 7 Emmys, including this episode. He's done Game of Thrones, The Pacific, Band of Brothers, X-Files, West Wing. He's one of the top people in TV. Does a lot of pilots.
A lot of pilots, and a lot of pilots that have gone onto series. That's his thing.
Yeah.
And directors, when you direct a pilot and it goes on the air, you get paid forever.
For every episode, yeah.
For every episode. So the guy that did the pilot of Friends, for example, or Blue Bloods, or Law and Order, okay, which is still going, I don't know, what are they, 300-400, whatever.
You're getting a fee.
Amount of episodes. Yeah. You get a fee. What that is, I don't know. So David Nutter has had a lot of pilots gone to series, so obviously people hire him. He also was a guy, and it was the first time I had seen it. He had a handheld monitor that he wore around his neck. He wore around his neck. Instead of going to Video Village, he was on the set. Clint Eastwood also uses that, where it's actually he's watching it right here. I don't know if you could see, it's a handheld.
Yeah.
He doesn't stand behind behind the monitor. So he used that. That was the first time. He's a very, very pleasant guy, David Nutter. I like him a lot. All right, we start out. We're in a hotel room. Tony wakes up dressed in a shirt and tie, and he sees a white light outside. The hotel bar. Tony has a drink at the bar. He calls the Soprano house and gets the answering machine. It's not the family's voice. This is different voices on the machine. So right from the start, it's kind of weird, right? He's in Costa Mesa, California, which is right outside.
You're near Costa Mesa, right?
Beach.
That's near where you are.
I'm not far.
Now,
I'm not far, but
do you know,
it's right outside Newport Beach.
There's a lot of strange symbolism in this episode. Now, if you take Costa Mesa, CA, which is the abbreviation California, and you rearrange the letters, it comes to TS Acoma case. Now, that's the first. It does. I did it. You can do it at home. Get Scrabble, get the things. You rearrange Costa Mesa, CA, comes out to TS Acoma case. Now, is that deliberate? You tell me. But there's coded messages hidden in this.
When David comes back on, we have to ask him that. Was it deliberate?
There's there's several coded messages in this episode. I'll get to another one.
It sounds to me like it was deliberate.
Maybe. Yeah. Now, the light, obviously, when we've heard near-death experiences go towards the light, they see a bright light. It can symbolize heaven or God, redemption. In Buddhism, there's the Bardo, which is the place between death and rebirth. I read an article about someone who was in a coma for 6 weeks and said they had what was to them like lucid dreams. You know what a lucid dream is, right? When you control the dream and you wake up, you're kind of aware that you're dreaming, and then you can control it. You have a lot of lucid dreams, right?
I have a lot of that, yeah.
So this woman was in a coma for 6 weeks, and she had a lot of lucid dreams where she was aware and She dreamt of ice cream. She dreamt of polar bears, and she was in a bath of ice. And it turned out the room was very cold that she was in for whatever medical reason. She would hear these angelic voices that were the nurses. She had an out-of-body experience where she felt she was looking down from the ceiling on her body, and she thinks that was when the nurses would lift her up to whatever to change, her dressings or change her out of her hospital gown. This is interesting. You can do this near-death experience you pay $4,000. They give you this fake burial. They put you in a coffin, give you a fake funeral. You can write your own eulogy, epitaph. They do this mock cremation. You go into the coffin, then they put you in a room and it's very hot. It's kind of similar to what you want to do.
Why would you do that? Why would you do that?
To get over the fear, to get over the fear of death. They put you in a coffin. They put you on a conveyor belt, and you go down into the furnace.
You really think I would be more scared? I'm going to lay in a coffin and close the coffin? I can't do that.
They even do a fake funeral.
Insane.
Yeah. It's a whole.
Well, you were in a coffin. You didn't like it. You told me.
I did.
You didn't like laying in the coffin at the funeral. Your funeral scene on The Sopranos.
It's very creepy.
I didn't. I wouldn't like that at all. This sounds like a terrible fucking idea.
Well, there's several places where you can do this, Steve. And maybe one of us should do it to talk about it on the show.
Well, that would be you. Yeah, that would be you, and you're going to spend $4,000 to do it.
Well, there's cheap. There's different places that do this. Some are cheaper. That's the most expensive.
I had a dream last night. Actually this morning. I had a dream, and once again, I got up to pee, and I continued the dream. And Dominic Chianese has a guy named Mike. He works in the courts, and he kind of, when Dominic does things, he kind of travels with Dominic. He's a beautiful guy. And for some reason, he was in the dream, and we were driving, and he jumped in my car, and he was with some Irish guy. And then the guy turned out to be a priest. And we went to some bar, and I was buying him drinks, and it was all fucking really, really weird.
That is weird.
And then I don't know where it even came from. I haven't talked to Mike in 6 months. I don't know where this came from. And I was buying them drinks, and the priest was getting drunk, and he didn't have his collar on, but he told me he was a priest. Isn't that weird?
Very interesting. I don't know what that means. You're corrupting priests, bringing them down the road of iniquity and sin. Maybe.
Don't know. It makes no sense
a lot
to me.
of scientists, though. Here's the other thing. So this woman told about these lucid dreams she had, but a lot of scientists think if you're in a coma, you have no dreams. So nobody really knows. I mean, I guess this woman had these experiences.
Joe Scarpinino, our dear friend, was in an induced coma for 12 days, and he said he saw his father, and he had very explicit dreams that he remembers.
Well, David Chase said about this, not just this episode, but this kind of section of The Sopranos where he's in this state. Don't call them dreams. They're other mental states that people think are dreams, but they are not. That's what we're working with here. And the hotel that he goes to, oddly enough, is the Omni. Now, Omni is Latin, right, for all or ultimate, like omniscient usually is like a godlike power, right? So I think that's intentional too. Another thing, and he's hearing things, like his watch beeps. There's beeps in the hotel room, right? You're hearing voices. They sound familiar, but you can't. It's your family, but it doesn't sound like them. There's that helicopter sound because he's in a level 1 trauma center, so they're probably helicoptering patients in. That's making its way. The doctor's lights, looking in his eyes. That might be the beacon. That might be the lights that he's seeing. Obviously, so. We're seeing the outside world influence him there. I think that's what's going on here.
Doing this podcast for you is like a fucking bad dream. You know that? I feel like I've been in a dream for over a year.
Love it. I don't know what you're complaining about. I enjoy this time.
It's like a bad dream for over a year with you.
And I found, I'll tell you this. I found a hidden, I think you're sending hidden messages deliberately to me, because I saw that thing you posted on Instagram, and I find that's a subtle hidden message dig. I saw what you posted. The cup that says Steve Sharippa Motherfucks the World, hosted by Michael Imperio with the song I'm a Fool to Do Your Dirty Work. So am I a fool? Because I'm going to do the dirty work of your post-death show? Is that what you're saying? That you've conned me into it and I'm a fool? That's the secret message of that post, isn't it?
I didn't con you. I asked you as a friend to do it for me.
Right, but why the song I'm a fool to do your... Who's the fool to do your dirty work? Me?
I'm a big Steely Dan fan. That's all it was.
I've never heard you listen to them ever.
I've seen them numerous times. I've seen Donald
So
Fagen.
I'm
alone.
reading
I'm a
too
huge
much into
fan.
it? Is that what you're saying?
I think I'm not that intelligent to do what you're
selling
saying.
yourself short, my friend.
Tony, the hotel, outside the hotel, Tony walks outside, the helicopter, like you said, lights. We see a doctor in the flashing light. Tony keeps walking, and then you see he goes to his stomach. He's got indigestion, or agita, as
Which
we
is where
call
he
it.
was shot.
Correct. Tony drives down the street, and now he's at the conference center. He checks in with the conference center host. Gives her his ID. It says Kevin Finity on it. What the hell? This isn't my wallet. And you see his accent is different.
Right.
More like what Jim spoke like in real life.
More like it,
He's
but a little bit further, a little bit more neutral.
Pronouncing his R's. He's really pronouncing his R's, almost sounds like a Midwest guy, This isn't my wallet. This isn't my briefcase. This is when he realizes I must have picked up the wrong stuff. Could you let me in so I don't miss the morning session? She says, I can't do it without a photo ID. He calls Carmela. Now, no one knows this, or very few people, but the Carmela voice is a comic actress named Wendy Hammers, who used to work for me for years. And that's whose voice that is, Wendy
Did you get her the
Hammers.
job?
I did not get her the job, but I remember when she did it, she is not credited anywhere, and she's great. The voice is great. And she did 2 episodes, does the voice. It's Wendy Hammers, so longtime comic.
Now, Kevin Finity, obviously, Infinity. We're talking about, the afterlife, infinite, eternalism and all that stuff like that. So obviously,
Kingman,
that's what's coming.
Arizona address. And
Now,
no
I've
phone
been to
is
Kingman,
listed.
Arizona. Now, this is a little bit weird. I've been through Kingman when I go out to my teacher's Buddhist center, oddly enough. It's on the way. It's off of Route 66 or Interstate 40 in northern Arizona. Very hot. Maybe that this is some, and we're seeing fires in the first on the news. Maybe there's the hell imagery
This hell
starting.
thing.
Kingman, King of Men, God, again. Andy Devine is from Kingman, Arizona. There's Andy Devine Avenue in Kingman, Arizona. Divine. We're talking about God. I don't know. Why are these things there? Is this intentional? Is it not?
You sound like your fucking buddy AS.
Listen, I'm just writing down what I see. I've been to Kingman.
When you get so deep like this, you ruin it for the people watching it because it's too complicated.
It's not complicated.
Sometimes things are just what they are,
And sometimes they're not, my friend. Sometimes they're not.
You're telling me Andy Devine, the guy that used to play a cowboy?
Yeah, he's from
That
there.
Andy Devine?
There's a street named after him in Kingman, Arizona. King of Men, King Man, Divine. Get it?
Wow. Well, I get it. I don't know if that's true, but
And it's on the way to the Buddhist center that I went to, which I didn't know. I didn't put that in there.
You're taking a lot of the fun out of it. That's all I can tell you.
I think I'm bringing fun into it.
Okay. Well, I disagree as always. What's in the briefcase? Did you look? There's a bunch of brochures for solar heating systems. No company name. Carmela's trying to calm him down. He'll get in touch. Okay. At the hotel, Tony arrives at the hotel lobby, talks to the clerk. I checked out a couple hours ago, but I'm going to need the room back. I'm sorry, we're completely booked.
So now some
Tony's,
people say this is him not being able to get into heaven. He can't get a room.
Who says
He's
that?
going to purgatory.
Who says that?
I don't want to quote anybody, okay? He's not able to get in heaven. He's at the gates, St. Peter, right? You can't get into heaven. You got to go. So he goes back to the place he was last night. Now, this is maybe a purgatory where he's got to wait. He doesn't have money. He's got to wait till they solve this thing. They can't wire him money. He's stuck. That's what happens in purgatory. He's got the pains in the stomach from the blackened grouper. The fish, big pussy, sleeps with the fishes. Death imagery. You're looking at me like I'm insane. I mean, what?
Well, I don't like this type of, I'll be honest with you. I don't like this, unless I heard it from David Chase himself. I don't like this analytic stuff. Sometimes the show is just a show. I mean, you're making it like a very difficult jigsaw puzzle.
I think that's what it is.
What you're explaining.
But I think that's what it is.
You may
It's
be
too
right.
much stuff here.
You may be right. But
let's see.
He goes back to the hotel bar, which I like drinking at hotel bars. Do you? I do.
Depends on the hotel.
I always feel like a grown up. I remember when I was younger, you're in a hotel, and obviously it's always more expensive, but there's some great hotel bars in Carlisle in New York.
Yeah, it depends on the hotel. The Peninsula is a nice one.
The Peninsula in Beverly Hills. Also, my favorite, and we've been there together, the Four Seasons in Toronto.
Yeah.
It's got a great bar. It was the old one. Now the new one, Egon, my good buddy from Toronto, is still a bartender there. And that Four Seasons is a swinging spot. But I always felt like an adult. Like, you go down to the hotel bar, my wife would be upstairs, and I'd say, I'll meet you down at the bar. Or when we had to do some business, there's a lot of hotels. There's the Fashion Island Hotel. It's got a great bar, and, for the Ritz-Carltons,
If it's a nice hotel, a bar could be great. Yeah, you're right.
There's people around these convention hotels, which, the Riviera was, it's very cookie cutter. I find it very boring, these conferences.
I don't like so much either.
These conferences are very, small talk. And I remember we did a bunch of them with the sauce. Remember we did it. You helped me out when we had the sauce.
In Orange County. Not
we
far
went to
from
Orange
here.
County, and it was like that. Yeah.
Well, he says about Costa Mesa is a nice place to live, and they say around here it's dead.
It's dead.
Basically
well,
saying,
I believe that.
Talking about the world of dead. That's very obvious. You notice a lot of the music is organ music. You got Jimmy Smith, Dave Baby Cortez, and there's even another piece. Maybe it's like Muzaki almost, some of it. Borders on that. Maybe he's hearing that in the hospital somewhere. I'm not sure there,
Another call. It's Meadow. She made volleyball. He says, I told you would. There's a guy tells a stupid joke about he drives a Lexus. Get it? Infinity. Kevin, Kev Infinity. Tony gives him a dirty look. Then they invites him over to the table.
Do you notice the woman that he flirts with? Her name's Lee, which was Livia's nickname. That's what Johnny Soprano called Livia.
I don't remember that, yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Soprano called Livia Lee in a lot of the scenes. And she's kind of a physical type, like Melfi, like Gloria, like Irina a little bit,
On that order, but she looks, I don't know, they light her kind of weird outside.
She's married to Richard Schiff, the actor.
I know
Sheila
Richard.
Kelly.
I like Richard from The West Wing.
He mentions, it's all lit a little bit weird. You're right.
They light her a little weird there, especially outside. So they're sitting down at the table and they're having like a very kind of boring salesman-y conversation. Tony, tell us how you made the jump from selling patio furniture to precision optics. Like my wife says, it's a good question.
But remember, in college episode, he says to Meadow, in my family, being a patio, if I would sell patio furniture on route, whatever, that's being a rebel in my family. Tony Soprano said that in the first season.
Yeah. So they're having this boring conversation. They buy him dinner. He says, I'm 46 years old. I mean, who am I? Where am I going? She says, join the club. So what? You thinking she's dead?
They're all in purgatory.
Lee is dead.
They're losing their sense of identity and sense of self.
And she's telling him to join the club.
Which is a very Buddhist concept, actually. Because in Buddhism, Buddhist perspective, the self, self is, doesn't have any real inherent existence. It's not really real, right?
Now, David's not a Buddhist, but you said he's done some research, right? Didn't he dabble in it a little?
I think so. I mean, I think also this whole crisis of identity is the theme of the show on some level. The whole show, it's like the whole problem with Tony Soprano that precipitates having this series is that he's kind of caught between being a mobster, being a family man, a father, being a good guy, and it results in him having a mental breakdown and panic attacks and all that stuff. Whereas the other mobsters, they're just who they are, right? Paulie Walnuts, this is who he is. That's what he does. Tony Soprano, the whole show's about an identity crisis, and here it's coming to a big.
Now he sees on the TV at the bar an ad: "Are sin, disease, and death real?" And then a picture of a cross. And what do you think that means?
I think it's Father Phil in the room at the time when he's laid out in the coma. Father Phil's in there saying, "Let us rejoice in his love," because you hear like some evangelist or somebody saying words like that, and I have a feeling that's what's happening.
Father Phil is in the hospital room.
Yeah.
Tony makes out with Lee. He's making out with Livia.
Maybe.
Right? Because Melfi's also told Tony Soprano that he wants to have sex with his mother. Right? That's been brought up numerous times. Lee, this isn't going to happen. I saw your face when you got off the phone with your wife. He says, I could even be some other guy tonight and get away with the whole shebang, but no, I blow it. He's cheating on Carmela, even in his dream.
Right, but he doesn't do it. And it's very much unlike him, because usually he does do it when he has the opportunity.
And then here comes the white light. And she says they're looking for perps. And he gives her a weird look.
The guilt, the sin, they're looking for perps. Maybe they're looking, to me, what this means, they're in purgatory. They're looking to see who's the perp, who's going to hell. That's what's happening here.
Okay.
Because in the hospital, Dr. Ba, the Asian guy played by C.S. Lee, the Asian doctor with the shaved head, his name is Dr. Ba, his character's name. In the Seven Souls voiceover in episode 1 of season 6, William Burroughs reads, Ba is one of the seven souls, often treacherous, he says. In that Egyptian, whatever, Book of the Dead kind of thing that they're reading.
So Tony wakes up from the coma. He's completely freaks out. He's out of control. He rips his tubes out of his mouth. The doctors, they tell Meadow and Carmela to get out of the room. They continue working on him. It's a really, really tough scene, for the family to watch.
Edie's tremendous in that scene.
The whole episode, she is.
The whole episode.
So is Robert Isla, and so is Jamie Lynn Sigler. What's going on? AJ arrives. You're just getting back. Meadow says, Dad's not so good now. They made us leave. In the waiting room, Silvio, Paulie, Christopher, Vito are there. She explains he just came out of the coma. They took the breathing tube out. Silvio says that's a good thing. No, she says they put it back in. Can't breathe on his own. And AJ says not Dad's not going to die, but he says Anthony Soprano's not going to die. I don't know what everybody's talking about.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
I guess he's, a little bit of distance, a little bit of denial or something. I don't know.
Dr. Ba comes out. Tony, Paulie, and Fido argue about who's going to take AJ home.
They're jockeying for favor here, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
He said, you brought the Shvuyadel. You like Shvuyadel?
Sure.
If it's made good, crispy. It's got to be crispy. And
Faneros.
soft in the inside. Yeah.
Faneros. You know, I don't know what everybody's talking about, right? So he calls him Van Helsing.
Van
Which is
Helsing,
what?
there was a movie came
It's a
out
movie?
in 2004. Hugh Jackman is a vampire hunter. And in the original book, Dracula by Bram Stoker, there's a character, Van Helsing, who's hunting the vampires.
And he calls him that because of his hair.
The character,
Dr. Bach comes out. We discussed before, we're probably not looking at a very good outcome here. Sepsis could be a problem. Not good news at all. It's terrible
No,
news.
not at all.
Not promising at all. They argue about who's taking AJ home. I mean, even in these times, it's all about kissing Tony's ass. Vito has become such a since he lost the weight. Vito's really become a conniver.
A conniver,
You know,
yeah. Manipulating.
He wants to climb the ladder.
climb
yeah.
the ladder, yeah.
You know,
Very ambitious. Very ambitious.
Carmela is, after she talks to Dr. Ba, I mean, Carmela is sobbing. I mean, you could feel it right through your bones.
Well, that's about the worst
So-
thing you want to hear, other than he's dead, is that it's not a good outcome coming from the doctor. Doctors are usually a little more optimistic, and he's
Yeah.
basically saying we're not expecting anything good. So it's very scary, terrifying.
You know, Christopher comforts her. She is sobbing. I mean, this is tough to even watch, you know, the pain she's going through. Tony arrives in the lobby at the Omni Hotel. My name is Finity. I called, reserved the room. And he gets in. He uses Kevin Finity's credit card. He's kind of surprised by it, but they give him a room because he's in deep shit now. You know, he doesn't have a driver's license, so he can't get on the plane. This is, you know, post 9/11. He can't get on the plane.
Yeah.
She can't wire him cash because he can't pick it up with no ID. It's kind of like, well, what the hell do you do?
Well, here's another weird thing. They give him room 728. 728, July 28th. That's the birthday of Jackie Kennedy. Because later in this episode, they start talking about the Kennedy assassination, which obviously she was there for. It's also the day that Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia at the beginning of World War I back in 1914. That's the date. That's the room that he's getting. You know, I think there's something there, too, with that.
Okay. If you think so.
You
I
obviously
don't
don't.
know.
Jackie Kennedy's
You take
birthday.
all You take all the fun out of this. All the fun is
I think
taken
I'm
out.
putting the fun
it's just
in.
like, you know what it is? This is like I'm reading a textbook. You know, like I want to read a book that I enjoy. You're making me read a fucking textbook. That's what
Hey,
it's
you're
like.
the one that said, I don't know what's going on in this episode. I need your help.
right.
Well, here I am. I'm helping you.
Tony walks to the elevators. There's a couple of monks there, Buddhist monks.
Tibetan
Right?
Buddhist.
And,
yeah.
and they're saying, you know, we know who you are. You haven't answered our letters. You haven't answered our phone calls. You know, you screwed us about the heating system in the monastery. And he says, I am not Kevin Finity. And one of the monks slaps him in the face. Now, aren't monks supposed to be Zen and nice?
Zen is not Tibet. Tibetan Buddhism and Zen Buddhism are two different traditions.
What kind of Buddhist are you?
Well, I'm in the Tibetan. My teacher is Tibetan, from the Tibetan tradition.
And do they go around smacking people? Are they mean?
They've never smacked me, but I mean, if they felt somebody needed, you know, if they felt that perhaps that would be a good way to teach them something, maybe depends on the intention.
So monks hit people. I thought monks were all love.
Well, why
and
would you
peace
think
and
that?
We love each other. What do you mean? Isn't that what they stand
No.
for? Isn't that what it's supposed to be?
No.
Isn't that what Buddhism
No,
is?
it's
love
about-
each other.
No, not at all. Actually, it's about
What kind
Buddhism
of fucking thing do you belong to here?
Buddhism is more about understanding reality than it is about.
So monks go around.
I said
hitting
I never saw anyone do that, but
Have
if
you ever thought of
somebody-
becoming a monk?
Have I thought about it? No. Why would I become a monk?
What do you mean? Leonard Cohen went into the
Well, I'm
monastery for
married.
years.
I'm not, that would mean I'd have to. You're not allowed to be married. You're not allowed to have sex as a monk, or in this
So
tradition.
was that a
at least.
deal breaker for you, sex?
Well, my wife's a deal breaker. What, I'm going to leave my wife?
I'm not. I love your wife. I'm not saying to leave your wife, but you love Buddhism, so I don't know. Is it a tough decision?
You don't
Maybe.
need to be a monk to be a better Buddhist. You can be a lot of even some of the great Buddhist teachers are not monks. They marry or they have, the relationships.
Well, I don't like these two monks. Just so you know, for the record, I'm going to put it on record here that.
I don't know if I like them. I don't like every single monk either. I don't know. Just because, listen, here's the other thing. Just because someone is a monk does not mean they're enlightened. Does not mean they're, perfect and great human beings. You know what I mean? A person is still a person until they really transcend. And you don't have to be a monk to become enlightened, or you know what I mean? It's not it doesn't mean anything. All that means is who you are as a person and how you transcend, who you are as a person and how you evolve. And some monks are, and certainly are incredible beings, and some maybe aren't. It's just,
they slap Kevin Finnerty, and he falls over. It's just he falls over. The Tony pushes him, and the bellhop breaks it up. He hit me. It certainly doesn't sound like Tony Soprano here, as he falls over the bellhop, the bell cart there, and it's kind of weird to even see Jim play that, right?
Yeah.
A little bit weird. He's got khaki pants he's wearing. The hotel room, Tony's on the phone with Carmela. He slapped me in the mouth. Did you file a police report? I'm staying here under somebody else's credit card. It's fraud. Does the hotel know if
he's stuck
there's
off
a
in an own
Buddhist
world? That's important. Stuck like purgatory. That's what I'm saying. He's not in hell. He's just stuck.
Work. Does the hotel know if there's a Buddhist temple or anything around? If I could find a place I could get some words in edgewise, they might point me to Finnerty. But who knows? Who wants more complications? Just want to come home. He's in bad shape here. But you don't believe in purgatory because you don't believe in God, correct?
No, I don't believe in purgatory. But I do believe in the Bardo, which is a period between death and birth. But like I said, Buddhists don't believe in the self. So reincarnation has a very different implication than what's commonly thought of, because if there's no self,
Buddhism is very complicated. Very complicated.
Yes and no.
To me,
in some ways it is. Some ways it isn't.
Hotel. Tony's waiting for the elevator. He ends up taking the stairs. He falls down the stairs. That reminds me of
now he's falling into hell.
Livia. Okay, but Livia also laughing when he falls.
When he falls, and someone else fell down the steps too. Johnny Soprano fell down the steps, and she laughed.
Correct. And so he's falling. He's starting to head towards hell. He's dying. Tony's hospital room. Carmela wakes up Meadow. Dr. Plepler arrives, played by Ron Liebman.
Now, Plepler, we know, was named after Richard Plepler, who was an executive at HBO at the time, a good friend of ours.
And a nice fella,
Great guy. He's at Apple.
Always treated us very nice.
Ron Liebman was passed away in 2019. Was a really great actor. He was Roy Cohn in Angels in America on Broadway. He won the Tony in 1993. He was fantastic. He was also in Norma Ray, The Hot Rock with Robert Redford, Where's Papa, and a cool like 70s movie. I think it was made in 74 called Super Cops, directed by the great photographer Gordon Parks, which Sirico had a little part in. Like one line in, yeah.
What was the line?
Something like that, yeah. I didn't know. I was watching it late one night on TV about a year ago, and I saw Sirico.
And he popped up.
And he was really young, and it was kind of funny, yeah.
Dr. Plepler, he checks the wound. Everything's okay here. Real arrogance. He walks in. Carmela says hello to him. He doesn't answer her. He goes, everything's okay here. Dr. Tatchlin, who we never see, but they mention his name numerous times. What did Tatchlin say this morning? He never came in this morning. Does that mean the chances could be worse? My husband could not come out of his coma. The problem here is not only are we looking at the obvious negative outcome, but in these cases, we also contemplate degrees of brain damage in the event he does survive. I mean, he gives the worst bedside manner. He gives them not a ray of hope. There's arrogance. He makes Dr. Cusimano look like a champ here. I mean, he is just full of arrogance and nasty. And Meadows says something. He gives her a dirty look. And she's looking for some comfort, Carmela, from the doctor. She's looking for something. She's trying to be polite, and he's giving them nothing. And he doesn't like Meadow questioning him, like I said.
Doesn't like it at all. He has no patience.
They're talking to him outside, and Janice comes up. I met you yesterday. He doesn't even acknowledge her. And he says, well, you're doing the right thing. Talk to him. Play his favorite music. And lucky for him, he's at a level 1 trauma center, or he would have been dead 12 hours ago. And what he's talking about is himself. You're lucky that I
saved his life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Carmela thanks him and kind of says,
Meadow says, you treat these guys like rock stars. And people still do that. And nothing, we've talked about some of our favorite doctors, in another episode. And I think doctors are wonderful. I really do. But there are some that are really arrogant. And years ago, in the older generation, they treated priests, teachers, doctors like they were really on a pedestal.
Yeah.
I know my parents did. I don't know if yours did. My parents treated them,
Well, I think the best doctors also are compassionate at the same time, empathetic. You know what I mean? It's not just, especially to the family in a situation like this where, the patient's unconscious. They're treating the patient, but the family is under so much stress and trauma and suffering that you got to be compassionate.
I'm not saying to lie to them.
No.
And say everything's going to be okay. But, I think, there was a doctor, my parents, I might have even told you this fucking story, but my parents rented a house. He rented an apartment in Brooklyn after all of us moved out. And they had an apartment, and this nice older couple, they passed away, and their son, who was I wish I remembered the prick's name. He was a fucking prick, arrogant bastard. And my mother and father kissed his ass.
Because he was a doctor?
Because he was a doctor. And I came in from Vegas, and the apartment, the ceiling, it was a 2-family house on Bay 8th Street in Brooklyn. And it was the paint, the ceiling, all paint chips, and the carpet. It was in terrible shape, really in terrible shape. And here's my mother and father, they're older, and the whole apartment should have been redone. And they lived there for many, many years. And this fucking guy did nothing. And I kept saying, when is he going to do this? Look at this. And I remember I had my young daughter, Bria, there. I said, this is ridiculous. We can't stay here. We stayed in a hotel the next time we came. I mean, the apartment was shit. And one day I was in Vegas, and I got a phone call, and it was him, Dr. Fuckface, let's call him. And he said, hi, Steve, it's blah, blah, blah. Your father gave me this number. I'm the landlord. And I went, yeah. He said, well, your father said you could help me get comps to a show at Caesars.
Oh, my God.
And I said, are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? I was at my kitchen table. It was in the morning. My daughter was on my knee. I said, I thought you were calling to tell me you were going to fix my fucking parents' apartment. You got some fucking balls. I said, you should carry your fucking balls around in a wheelbarrow, calling me, asking me for fucking tickets. And I hung up on the motherfucker. Swear to God. The balls on this fucking guy. He wants free tickets. He's a fucking
in a wheelbarrow.
Doctor.
You should carry them in a wheelbarrow.
That's how big his fucking balls are.
Wow. That's big.
I wish I remembered this prick's name. Yeah, fucker. I'll motherfuck him. He's on the list.
He's on the list.
I'll get his name. He's on the fucking list.
Get his list.
Janice comes in.
Aida nails it, of course. She comes in. It's a whole other. Now, she takes it to another level. The
Drama
fear and
queen,
the grief,
but
but
my
very
older brother-
organic and real. She's in it.
Oh,
she's
always
good.
great. Psychiatrist Junior and his attorney meet with the psychologist. Repeat the following sentence: no ifs and no buts. I'll do it if I fucking feel like it. What is this person talking about? And Junior looks much better here. When he was
Better.
home and he shot Tony, he was all fucking
He's a mess.
disheveled.
He dismissed Melvoin because Melvoin had a stroke and his paralyzed hand made Junior nervous. And he doesn't believe that he doesn't know that he shot Tony. He thinks if Tony shot anyone shot Tony, it was Tony because he's a depression case.
And he says, stick your ultimatums in your ass. Junior is very confused. Tony's hospital room, Christopher sits and just stares at Tony. Eugene's funeral. Silvio talks with the crew.
Silvio's establishing himself as acting boss, obviously saying where to kick up, how things are going to work. Vito brings up the sports book again, like you said. He's really, he's
Really?
angling for, advancing himself. He wants a sports book from Junior.
He's very aggressive here.
Which is stepping over you because it's Junior's sports book. So by all rights, you should take it because you're Junior's guy, and he's trying to get that. He knows that it's a big earner, and he wants that.
You got any beefs? I'm the one you come to. Taking out a portion for Carmela to run the house and that shit. He'll collect the money. What do we do about Junior? Christopher says he's in jail. That puts him out of our reach. Larry Boy Baresi says he's a demented old fuck. We do nothing, let him rot. Sever all ties, end this embarrassment. This is an embarrassment to the Soprano family.
It makes him look bad to the other families. Absolutely.
Vito says he Marvin Gaye his own son, the boss of the family, which is, I guess, Marvin Gaye's father, right? Killed him.
Yeah.
And his
Marvin
Marvin Gaye's last concert was in Costa Mesa, the same location where
So
Tony.
Marvin Gaye died in Costa Mesa. Here we go. I mean, these things are not random. Come on.
No, his last concert.
I know.
Was in Costa Mesa.
But his last concert.
Bobby, is all due respect, where the fuck were you that night?
So Vito's
Vito
trying to
asked him.
throw you under the bus because he wants that sports book. You see what's going on here. He's pushing
Yeah,
buttons.
and he says, I had other obligations. Asked my wife. Bobby's backstepping a little bit here. He's backpedaling. Asked my wife, had other obligations. And they all stare at Bobby, like, where the fuck were you? You should have been there. And he says, Tony volunteered to go. This is when he was playing with his train set. Paulie and Vito were in competition here. And Paulie says, I'm going to buy Tony a nice stereo. And Christopher knocks Eugene. Must be he took the easy way out.
Look
He
at this
killed
fucking
himself.
mutt. Who wouldn't want to take the easy way out?
Pretty harsh.
They said maybe he had cancer, and that's why he did it. They don't know. I mean, they knew he wanted to go to Florida. They don't know that he was working with
They
the
don't know he
feds.
was a rat. He doesn't. Yeah, they don't know the true story. Hesh, Janice, Gabriella, Barbara, Vito. They're talking about Eugene.
Suicide
Vito, I
does
knew
run
him.
in families. That is true. That's definitely true.
Yeah, he says either his mother or his father committed suicide. I knew him better than anybody, but still, maybe he was a homo, felt there was nobody he could talk to about it, which is just such an odd thing to say out of, and he's saying it to Janice, and it's just kind of odd. I mean,
Did you notice,
obviously-
though, the baby when he says it? Did you notice that?
The baby
So-
was...
She's holding the baby, and Vito's next to her. The baby's turned away. When he says that happens too. Maybe he was gay, whatever. Maybe he was a homo. That happens too. the baby turns around, looks at Vito, and almost hands him the rattle. It's very weird. You got to watch that again.
Okay, but do you think that was staged? How would the
I have
baby
no
know how to do
idea.
that?
It's really weird. You got to see it.
Yeah.
It's like the baby knows that he's, speaking about himself. It's very interesting. You go take a look at it. Everybody at home, go look at that scene, and you'll see what I mean. It's very bizarre.
It's maybe Vito's had these thoughts about killing himself because he's in the closet.
Yeah.
And he can't be who he is, and he can't be himself. Good thing Tony never heard about him killing himself. At least he's got enough on the plate. Carmela walks with Meadow. The nurse told me she saw AJ. AJ was supposed to get the Tony Bennett box set. Tony Bennett, who I think is suffering from dementia. I mean, he's 94, 95 years old. And boy, he was just the last of his group, the last of Dean Martin and Sinatra. And
an amazing performer.
I saw him many times, and a very nice guy. Yeah. Remember, we saw him with Jim and Alec Baldwin and Joe Larita.
Yeah.
We saw him at that concert for the school, right? The Frank Sinatra
School of the Arts.
Music program. AJ was supposed to bring the box set from home. AJ's talking to a TV reporter. Carmela comes out, brings him inside. She is pissed off.
The reporter says, would you call it Growing Up Soprano? That's referring to Growing Up Gotti, which was a TV show that was on, a reality show about the grandkids of John Gotti.
Yes. Don't talk to them. Say nothing. Everyone's pitching in here but you. And he says, thanks, Mom. She sends AJ for bagels. Get enough for everybody. I don't even know if he's capable of doing that.
He doesn't want to do anything,
bagels.
It seems. Yeah.
No. Tony's hospital room. Carmela opens a box with the stereo from Christopher. Carmela, I'm telling you, she seems like she's grown up so much. Well, what she knows, she will make a terrific doctor. I got some CDs from my car. She's talking to Tony like he's in the room and he's alive and he can hear her, right. Which is what the Dr. Plepler said to do. She puts Deep Purple on. And
Smoke on the Water, which was the song in season 2, episode 1.
Yeah.
It started
crashes
skipping.
The car.
The CD started skipping in the car radio, and he had a panic attack and crashed.
And do you like Deep Purple?
Not that much.
Take him or leave him.
Take him or leave him.
The pork store, Christopher arrives in Johnny Sack's Maserati, which he bought from Ginny Sack, cash. He walks inside. Agent Harris and Agent Goddard are eating. They make a great sandwich here. No getting around it. What about the disease? You picked him over there in, what did you say? What's
Diarrheaistan, which is not a real country.
No. Or wherever the fuck you were. This might be the cure. Yeah, we're sorry to hear about Tony. How's he doing? Christopher wants nothing. He calls them, when he works in, Sheriff of Nottingham, my kingdom for a mortadell.
Sheriff of Nottingham was from Robin Hood. My kingdom for a horse is a quote from Shakespeare's Richard III, but he, is mixing the two together. He brings up, Fieldcrest said there's a truckload of towels missing. So he's kind of mocking this hunt for terrorism, but then he says he takes it very seriously. He doesn't mess around with that. And they bring up Matouche, who was dealing ecstasy in the Crazy Horse. And Christopher starts thinking, wow, is it possible that some of these guys, because they say a lot of it, the terrorism is funded through, drug deals and stuff.
He mentions Matouche, like you said. He wants Chris to help them keep his eyes open. Help them if you see any terrorists. So kind of an odd ask for Christopher, who's not very fond of these two guys. Tony's hospital room. Carmela talks to Tony. You're going to be fine. She's very guilty about what she said in the past. This is a beautiful moment that Edie Falco does.
Really beautiful. And then she puts on... the capris are on it first. There's a moon out tonight. The capris were a bunch of group of Italian American musicians from Queens, actually. But then she puts on Tom Petty's classic American Girl. And she talks about the weekend in Long Beach Island when they were young with Artie and Charmaine. They almost broke up. American Girl maybe is a reference. David does talk a lot about America, especially in the last season or seasons. Tony is trying to get into a convention that has to do with, it seems like, military something, weapons or products. At the time, we were involved in the Iraq War with George W. Bush. Also, those wars were involving oil. Later on, AJ's talking about hybrids. He's talking about American Girl, Raised on Promises. I'm sure there's something to do with that.
The doctors say you're going to be fine, too. They're very confident. They know that you are really strong as a bull. She's lying. The doctors have not said that. A long time ago, I told you were going to go to hell when you died, when you had that MRI. It's a sin. I will be judged for it. But you're not going to hell. You're coming back here. Says it assures him he's a great dad. The kids love him. His friends love him.
All of those things are true on some level, right? And maybe she's the reason he doesn't go to hell here and survives this experience. She great
tells
in this
him
scene.
She loves him. Beautiful. She says she loves him, and just great, and it's just a big monologue. I mean, she's not getting anything from the other side. Jim's just laying there, which I think when Jim did this, he was in bed for days, right?
Oh yeah.
When we shot these scenes, and then the next one, there's numerous scenes. He's in a hospital bed, and he was just laying in bed,
a long time,
falling asleep and shit, right? Hospital. Tony lies on a hospital bed. Your doctor arrives.
That's Christopher Evan Welsh, who I knew. He passed away at the age of 48 in 2013. He was done a lot of theater in New York. He did a reading with us at Studio Dante. He was on Law and Order, Nurse Jackie, Silicon Valley. He played a great part on that show, kind of like a Bill Gates type of character. But he was also in What Just Happened and the narrator in the Woody Allen movie, Vicky Cristina Barcelona. Tragic. Passed away of lung cancer, really young. But a great actor. He was a really great New York actor.
So, Mr. Finity, sorry it took so long. I just saw some things on the CAT scan I didn't like, which is why I ordered the MRI. Unfortunately, those are consistent with a diagnosis of Alzheimer's. Tony
All
says
things that
Alzheimer's.
were being spoken of before in the room where Tony actually is. The oxygen depriving the brain. They looked at an MRI about brain damage, all this stuff that they're dealing with. Alzheimer's refers to junior, maybe.
I'm 46 years old. It's a death sentence. You're a Smurf for 10 or 15 years, and then you die shitting in your pajamas. I'm lost. What does it matter? He tells the doctor, I won't even know myself soon. The doctor comforts him. It's a much different doctor here than Dr. Plepler, giving him some hope.
But he says, I'm lost.
Alzheimer's and dementia is a terrible, I'm not telling anybody, I'm not saying anything that people don't already know, but it's really tough, man, I had a friend of mine get diagnosed at 55 and died at 60. Yeah, he diagnosed. The Cleveland Clinic, there's a great Alzheimer's hospital in Las Vegas, one of the best in the country. The Cleveland Clinic there.
Yeah, that's a horrible disease. It's really
horrible
really
disease.
tragic. Really hard.
Tony's hospital room. Meadow talks to Tony. Meadow, AJ wanted to come, but he got a really bad stomach flu from a burrito.
Which means he's hungover, basically. Food poisoning more often is, when people say they had food poisoning, more often they say, especially if it's like calling in sick or not showing up at somewhere you're supposed to be, very often it's a hangover.
I've never not showed up, ever, or never called into work or anything like that, ever, because I was out the night before. You?
Oh, maybe when I was a kid. I don't know.
I've never done that.
Not as an actor.
No,
I've showed
I've
up when
never
I
done
should have done that.
Yeah, that I understand. Finn's coming out. He really likes you. I was reading this morning, and I found this. I wanted to share with you. Jacques Prévert, our Father who art in heaven, stay there, and we shall stay on earth, which is something so pretty. She kisses his forehead. Really sweet moment between a daughter and her dad, who's in bad shape here.
Very sweet.
Carmela takes a shower. Bobby, Vito, Silvio, Paulie, Meadow, AJ eat in the kitchen. It's almost like a living funeral. You know, when they have
That's
a
a
funeral.
good way to put it. It's like an extended, like going on for days and days. Yeah.
You know, they're waiting. It's like a wake in the waiting room. It's like a wake. And now they have all the food. Yeah, the repast. They have all the food. They're at the home of the person who passed away, which happens a lot after the funeral.
AJ's got an appetite, but apparently he had food poisoning, so we know it's a lie. Now he's hungry. Vito's eating broccoli, Rob. What is he eating?
He's eating broccoli, I guess, because of the diet. And then he picks up his ass cheek and farts, which we know David Chase loves farting humor. Right? And AJ is talking to, Meadow says, what are you breaking my balls about hybrid cars? I don't give a shit. I've been up all night. He walks into her room. Oh, you're tired? Poor you. Who used to say poor you?
Livia.
His grandmother, Livia. Is that what's crawling up your ass? That I was at the hospital last night when you told your mom you come? I didn't say one word to you about it. Neither did anyone else. We're all so glad you kicked your fucking stomach flu, okay?
Yeah,
Don't
he's
you find
focusing
it
on the
really
environment, the
embarrassing?
future, to kind of maybe deflect from the tragedy at hand, which is his father on death's door.
He is so fucked up.
Yeah.
Just so fucked up, I got to be honest, AJ.
Yeah, and then he talks about being embarrassed. Don't you find this whole thing embarrassing? Our father being shot by an uncle, who's a mummy. He calls him a mummy.
Yeah. He says he took Pepto-Bismol for his stomach, so it's okay to eat. Right. And he seems very disturbed, very...
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't think he ever gets his shit together through the whole series.
This has messed him up big time. This has fucked him up bad. Yeah, no doubt.
Hospital cafeteria. Carmela eats with Ro. AJ arrived. So what? Now there's an actual roster of who stays with Dad and when, and I'm not on it. Frankly, AJ, I don't think you'd be interested. I was sick. I've been trying to study, which is what everybody's usually hassling me about 24/7. They mentioned Angie in the body shop. That sticks on the Carmela. That Angie called. Even she
doesn't
busy.
Show up. That's why.
Yeah, she's been busy with the body shop. She's a success on her own. Ro calls AJ Fabio because of the long hair. She gives Carmela advice on not cutting AJ slack.
Right, that he's being selfish and he doesn't give a shit, and he should, you should, come. And Carmela's making excuses. Tony always loomed large for AJ. He can't face him, and Rose saying don't give him so much slack. Yeah, exactly.
And she snaps right back at Ro.
Yeah.
AJ, never got his shit together throughout the series.
And he's saying also, listen, kids his age are in Iraq. You know what I mean? It's like fighting wars, and this kid just can't face his father. It's like you're being too soft, which to some extent is true, I think, in my opinion. And then she says
very much so.
He's got an open incision, and AJ can't deal with that. What about, is that kind of makes you squeamish, wounds and things like that?
Yeah.
Blood? Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't make it as a cop.
What about needles? Are you okay with getting needles?
I'm okay. I'm okay with needle, but that that stuff is tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the cops come into a crime scene. Even on TV, you see things and you go, "Holy shit!" And even though it's fake, it's like, my God, what they must see.
I saw crime scene photos at the one of the homicide divisions once, and it was
Horrific. And then even
horrific.
a soldier,
Is not the word. Yeah.
a soldier, a doctor, EMTs. Oh my God, firemen. Oh God. I give them all a lot of credit, believe me.
I remember when I was a kid, right? Maybe 12 or some shit. And, at that age, you try to sneak porno, like Playboy. Back then it was Playboy Penthouse. Hustler was really a step more raunchy, right?
Yeah.
And there was an issue of Hustler that one of my friends had that had war soldiers that were blown up or victims of war in Hustler magazine.
Really?
And I remember that messed me up seeing that. I think the publisher was Larry Flint, was trying to make a point because he was always fighting censorship, laws and stuff like that, saying, well, I can put this in a magazine and it's okay, but I can't show that. I guess that was the point he was making, but I never forget it. I saw that I think it traumatized me, actually.
Well, I'm not saying nothing that no one else knows, but I mean, I don't watch very gory, violent movies.
I don't like it either. I can't stand it. No, me neither.
I don't like it. I don't like it. I just,
Nor do I.
I want real character, real stuff. I mean,
well, that is real stuff. I just don't want to see it.
What's that? But John Wick, he kills like 500
I've never
people.
Seen John Wick.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it. It's like he just kills everybody. I mean, seriously, hundreds of people. It's like, this is what I've watched. He says 4 words in the movie, and he shoots fucking everybody.
I've never seen it.
I mean, geez, and there's a lot of them. The video games are violent. Very violent video games.
Really violent, yeah.
And listen, Sopranos was violent. Let's not kid ourselves. It's very violent.
Right, but it was, it's inherent to the storytelling of The Sopranos, where it's not about, the show wasn't about that. It was about the characters. A video game is. But
it's violent. It's violent. It was, violence and sex and.
But I'll be honest. I think if you didn't have it violent, it would be a disservice to the audience, because then you're sanitizing a world where violence is,
of course,
very
of course,
inherent in the lifestyle, and what these characters do. So.
Soprano driveway, Carmela Meadows, Silvio Paulie arrive at the house. Paulie just goes off. He kicks the reporters. They're all on the property like they do. Sensationalize this. Mob guy shot. This is what they live for. This is what newspapers, especially these tabloid type papers, just love, Soprano house. She pours herself a Sambuca.
Meadows getting, drinking. She's under a lot of stress. She's calling Finn, who's out in California at dental school, our friend Will Janowitz. She's bummed that he's not there. The cops are there. Detectives are talking to Carmela about Junior and his mental state. And she said, well, he called my husband Johnny, which was his father's name. He resisted getting a haircut, which I thought was kind of funny. That's a funny detail. That's how she knew his mental state was off, that he resisted getting a haircut.
I don't speak with Junior. I haven't for years.
Right.
You ever talk? Your husband ever talk about Junior's mental state? I did not hear. I did hear him telling other people how Junior was getting more and more confused.
And then they bring up the McGuire sisters. Sam Giancana had a girl. One of the McGuire sisters was Sam Giancana's girlfriend, but Sam Giancana and JFK had the same girlfriend, Judith Campbell. And the cops are almost fishing for information about the Kennedy assassination, to which Carmela says, my husband was 3 at the time.
Phyllis McGuire died fairly recent. She had this huge house in Vegas. If you go online, you won't believe the house. It had like a soda fountain, just an incredible house.
A soda fountain?
Yeah, just an incredible house she built. Older, obviously. She also had a replica of the Eiffel Tower in her house.
She said she got rich making investments in oil and gas.
I'm sure Sam Giancana helped her. I don't know, because they hadn't performed in many years. And
No,
it's
she
in
said she
Rancho,
didn't make it from show business, her money. She made it from investments.
so it's in Rancho Circle, which is an old part where still a lot of wealthy people live, but old part of Vegas where all the wealthy people once lived back in the 60s and
Who,
70s.
like
And
what
they had,
people of note live there? Like
what's
celebrities?
the guy's name? Michael Jackson rented a house there. What's the guy from The Killers? Lead guy from The Killers?
Oh, Brendan
I don't know if
Flowers?
Brendan Flowers has a house there. And, it's gotten kind of, because these houses are huge on big lots, it's gotten very popular again, and it's not far from the Strip. You're kind of close to the Strip. And even though everything's pushed out, there's some beautiful homes there. Older homes, but beautiful homes, and I used to drink Sambuca a lot. Did you drink Sambuca?
I like it in espresso.
Yeah, I used to drink Sambuca a lot. I used to chill it and then drink it with a beer back.
Oh, that I wouldn't like.
Oh, it's all
So
syrupy.
sweet, yeah.
Yeah, it's syrupy. Shots of that. If you want to feel shit the next day,
Yeah, too much
wanna
sugar.
hate
The
yourself.
sugar messes you up in the hangover. Right? Yeah.
if you want to hate yourself, drink that. Hospital AJC's Janice walk out with Barbara crying. He enters Tony's room. Carmela arrives at the hospital and walks to Tony's room. She sees AJ talking and walks away. AJ's talking about the Shelby GT 500. Very enthusiastic. He's
And very
talking
upbeat,
to Tony
yeah.
and playing there. Very upbeat. This guy on campus had one. The Mustang's not as expensive as the M3 I used to talk about getting all the time. He's doing good. This is good. AJ's doing a
For
good
now,
thing here.
for this scene.
Bada bing. Muhammad and Ahmad, they sit at the bar. Christopher gets stopped by them. You here again? You ought to put up a tent in this fucking bar. Guess they're regulars. How's Tony? The girl said he was hurt pretty bad. He's keeping his dick up. His uncle did this to him. Not something we talk about, Christopher says. So here's the two guys.
This
who,
is planting a seed for the future. Yeah, the two guys that are at the bar, and Christopher. The feds put a bug in Christopher's ear about these guys possibly being or funding terrorism.
Tony's hospital room. AJ sits in the chair. He walks around the other side of the bed. Hey, Dad, I'm going to get Uncle Junior for this. Don't worry, I'm going to put a bullet in this fucking mummy head. I promise. He wants revenge, AJ.
He really
can't
does.
just do nothing. He says you can't just, he does this to his father and nobody's going to do anything about it. And Carmela's proud of him. I'm so proud of you. You can't imagine how much this means to your father. You know what it means? He just lies there. Thank you for doing it. You help your family tremendously. So she's very proud of him right now. And then he admits, I flunked out of school. I ended up with a 1.4 GPA for the quarter. Freshman dean said there was no point in coming back. Yeah. Robert is great in this episode.
Especially in this scene. It was
Chamberlain.
wonderful. In this scene, really good.
She says, with your father in a coma, twice. With your father in a coma, you drop out of school. Like if he wasn't in a coma, it would be any better, right?
Yeah. Hotel room. There's a Muzak version of Badfinger's song "Day After Day," which the lyrics go, "Looking out from my lonely room, day after day," which, again, that kind of purgatorial kind of vibe. Badfinger, of course, was on Apple Records. That song was produced by George Harrison in 1971. A lot of people thought Badfinger were the Beatles, because when the Beatles broke up, there was a band called Klaatu, and there was a Badfinger, and maybe a couple others that people had these theories that the Beatles were still together and just making
different names.
Yeah, which was not true. Although Badfinger Badfinger did sound a little bit like the Beatles in their vibe.
Where do you get these theories from? Where do you find these things?
There was that whole other theory about Paul McCartney died. You know that. The theory was that he died in the early 60s and in a car crash. And there's all these clues on the various albums. That people interpreted stuff, which is a ridiculous theory.
Wasn't it? You play the song backwards.
Blackbird. Between Cry Baby Cry and Blackbird on the White Album, there's like some gibberish, and if you turn the record, the vinyl backwards, it says Paul is a dead man, miss him, miss him. That's there.
Do you think that they kept this going purposely?
Well, the reality of it is ridiculous. So, like, the most famous guy, this is what would have to have happened. The most famous guy in the world dies, basically, because at the time there was probably nobody more famous than Paul McCartney. This is the mid-'60s. And they replace him with a guy who not only looks just like him, but can play the bass left-handed, can sing incredibly, and write some of the best songs ever written, which the whole thing is preposterous, obviously. But that I don't believe, so I don't go down that rabbit hole. Although as a kid, it was very entertaining to look at the albums and try to find the clues, because there's lots of weird shit on some of those albums and in some of the songs.
Wasn't there also there's a lot of these theories also with Playboy magazine. There was something in the lettering. If the bunny's head was turned this way, it meant something.
What?
Something. James Caan slept with them. I don't know. Some crazy shit.
The logo meant James Caan slept with them?
Something with the logo. It meant this. It meant
I gotta look this. I gotta look into this. I didn't know this.
Look into that.
Kevin Finnerty and Tony Soprano, whoever he is at this point, is alone. That's the thing here. Alone. The song, the phone is there. He's trying to reach somebody. Great song. Moby and Mimi Gazy. I think that's how you pronounce it, Goese. Mimi Gazy was in a band, Hugo Largo, which was a very cool band from the 80s in New York with a guy named Han Rowe and was it Tim Summer. I saw them play, I think at CBGB's, if I remember correctly, in the mid or late 80s. They're a really cool band. But Moby and Mimi do this song, When It's Cold, I'd Like to Die. Again, the lonesome lyrics. Where were you when I was lonesome? Looked anywhere, it was freezing cold. Really haunting ending to this,
Now he sees a white light a little, and then he picks up the phone, and he puts it back down. Who is he going to call?
I think he's
going to call Carmella.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
And he decides to put it back down. It was a wonderful episode, as they all are. You kind of ruined it for me a little bit with your theories. Some make sense. Some are preposterous, as you will do at times, and you kind of ruined it.
I don't agree. I think I made it more interesting.
Sometimes, it's a TV show and it's supposed to be entertaining, and when you look too deep into things...
It's entertaining because it was thought into to such detail and to such a degree that there's stuff you can examine. You're not going to examine an episode of, I don't know.
But we could talk about what this means, what that means, and we could make things up all day long. Somebody could make this up. It's
make something up. Go ahead, make something up.
It's 6
for example,
bagels. Bagels mean blah blah blah.
Well, what do bagels mean? No, that's not that easy. What does it mean?
She sent them out for bagels. She sent them out for bagels. Hesh is Jewish. Maybe that's predominantly a Jewish food, bagels. Right. Maybe Hesh, I don't know.
Maybe Hesh what? No, there's nothing there. You can't even invent it.
Behind this. Maybe, I'm saying some of your stuff is bullshit. They taught that baby you got to handle to give them the baby.
Go watch that scene and tell me how weird it is.
Maybe it was just by accident. They gave him the rattle. How do you teach a baby to give the rattle? How do you do that?
The baby might be a born actor, is in the moment. I don't know. It's pretty friggin' weird. Really? We talked about that baby last episode. What was his name? That worked with W.C. Fields. He was under contract at 16 months old.
How old? But he was older.
16 months. How old's that baby?
Okay, but was he handing rattles? I mean, this baby
was acting 16. With W.C. Fields. He was upstaging the guy. W.C. Fields was jealous.
It's Bobby and Janice's kid. He's still breastfeeding. The kid is a baby.
I thought it was a girl.
It's a she. Yeah, it's a she.
You're calling him.
Dominica.
Now
Jesus
it's time
Christ.
for the Talking Sopranos
Jesus
Ask Me
Christ.
Anything segment. The winner of our AMA Best Question of the Week is Frank from Harrison, New York, Westchester County, where I grew up. We are sending Frank a pair of Bose headphones.
Frank asks, The Sopranos was appointment television. Millions of people planned their Sunday nights around the show. Growing up, which TV shows were appointment viewing for you? Your favorites. Did any TV show influence your decision to become an actor? Now, I know you have some of that. You like Honeymooners is one of your favorite shows, but what influenced you to become an actor? Or did anything?
I loved Batman when I was a kid.
Did you want to be Robin or Batman?
I thought Robin was kind of cooler than Batman. Like maybe because he was younger. The Partridge Family. I really liked Keith Partridge.
Danny Bonaducci?
No, David Cassidy. I was a big
David Cassidy.
Well, he was this rock star, and all the girls chased him and tried to tear his clothes off, and he had long hair. He was very cool.
So that's what you liked. You wanted you.
Well, he was very famous, and that I think that was exciting to me as a kid to see somebody like
it was his band leader for a while, our friend Lon Bronson in Vegas.
was David Cassidy.
Lon.
I liked that. I liked Wonder Woman when it was on. Did you like
Linda
that?
Carter.
Linda Carter.
I
I really had a
really
big
watch that.
crush on her, Linda Carter.
I mean, we're 8 years different, so it's a little different.
I liked a lot of cartoons. I liked the Brady Bunch, Gilligan's Island. You know what I got into though when I was a little bit older, not that old, but maybe 11, was Saturday Night Live. 11, 12.
Oh, really?
That show was huge for me.
Yeah, but who was on?
That was, Gilda Radner, Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, those guys. I loved it. Loved it. And Second City TV around the same time. Loved with Eugene Levy, John Candy, Joe Flaherty, Catherine O'Hara. I loved it. Thought that was brilliant.
I liked that also. Saturday Night Live, certain decades, the show was better than others,
Yeah.
Obviously. I like the Will Ferrell years.
I mean, it's been on so long. It's
Adam Sandler.
Sure, it's got to go
it's
through
hard.
ups and downs, of course. But
It's
it was
still going.
blew my mind as
remember-
a kid, though. It was really special, I thought.
I remember 1975. I was in high school. That's when it started, right? I think 75, 76. George Carlin hosted it, I think. And Andy Kaufman never made me laugh.
I liked him on Taxi.
Oh, that was great. But I mean, he just,
His
what he did
stand-up
was,
thing was not that funny, actually. The Mighty Mouse, that wasn't funny.
Yeah, the lip singing.
I think
Jerry
that's the
Lewis
point,
did-
though. I think it's a point
Yeah.
not to be funny, to push. His thing was pushing the envelope and to the audience. He's very confrontational.
I mean, it was very tragic. He died very young, in his 30s.
A lot of people think he never died. Do you know that? There's a lot of theories that he is alive and it was all a hoax. You heard that, right? I'm not making that up.
I've heard that one.
Right.
That one I've heard. I don't believe it, but that was.
Well, if it's
that
a hoax,
one
I mean, if
heard.
if that's true, he certainly took it to the limit. That's for
Well,
sure.
what's the fun if you don't pop up once in a while?
Exactly. No, right.
It's like when they said Elvis was
Right.
dead. and
All right.
Vinci
Enough
would-
already. Get back
It
on
would
stage.
be exciting. It would be exciting. I like Green Acres. Green Acres was a
I
brilliant
never
show.
liked Green Acres. Never liked.
I like Green Acres. The characters were great. Gilligan's Island, of course. Skipper. I wasn't fat then, so I didn't. I wasn't a fat kid growing up.
Well, what
I
does
got
that
fat
have
as
to do
an
with anything?
adult. Oh, because then I would identify more with the skipper.
Really?
A lot of people like Marianne instead of Ginger. Ginger was the
Well, Ginger was
know,
almost like too unattainable or something like that. I
big
don't know.
movie star.
Who knows?
I love the Twilight Zone. I still do.
Loved it. Yeah, loved it.
You
At night
brilliant show.
in New York, at often like at 11 o'clock, 11:30 was Twilight Zone Honeymooners. one or
Yeah.
the other. And that was
Alfred Hitchcock. Loved
that's
Alfred
good.
Hitchcock.
I love that.
Of
I used to
course,
love the
Sunday night-
Chiller Theater. Saturday nights they used to have it often. Late at night, they on Channel 9 in New York there would be
Yeah,
Chiller.
WOR.
Then the animation, you'd see the hand coming out of the ground and grabbing. That was their little animation thing. But they'd have horror movies that was really fun. I love those old from
Do
the
you
60s
watch
and
horror
stuff.
movies now?
No, I like those old horror movies, like the Hammer. They made the Hammer Studios, and like from the 60s and 50s, even early
I don't like
70s.
I don't like horror movies.
The splatter movies or the what are those?
Yeah.
What do they call the movies with like Friday the 13th?
Slasher.
and all that? I
Slasher?
don't like slasher stuff. I don't like there's a whole Italian genre of like slasher called giallo, which means yellow in Italian. But some of those are kind of interesting in a stylistic way. Dario Argento, the father of Asia Argento, was one of the great Italian giallo directors who did Suspiria.
Some people think this podcast is a horror fucking movie.
a horror show. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
it's
me,
a
it is.
slasher. Sunday night for me, Ed Sullivan Show.
Oh, no,
The
I
whole
never.
family watched that.
I never saw that. That was before my
Oh,
time.
the Ed Sullivan Show was everybody was on there. That's why I like comedy. I used to see all those comics, nightclub comics. Everybody was on the Ed Sullivan Show. He was very powerful, and that was Sunday night. The whole family watch. That's when you had 4 channels. You know what? In New York, you had 2, 4, 9, 11, 7.
And
That was
5.
it. Did we have 5 back then?
When I was a kid, there was 5. Channel
Yeah.
5.
You
Channel
know,
5
and
was
then you
more
had-
like Channel 11, Channel 9. They were local stations. Yeah.
Yeah. I like Mannix. That was later on, I think in the 70s. Mike Connors was Italian. The Bugs Bunny Show, Saturday mornings.
Love Bugs Bunny.
I love Bugs Bunny. Davy and Goliath. You ever see that? Those puppets?
Yeah, that was a
They're
Christian
very
show.
religious.
It
I
was
didn't know.
Christian, yeah.
They were religious.
No, they didn't tell you.
they-
No,
They didn't
just-
tell you, but it was religious thing. Davy and Goliath. I talked about. I like Streets of San Francisco. That was in the 70s.
I was
Carl
before
Bolden,
me.
Michael Douglas, The Lucy Show. You like Lucy? You like Lucy?
Yeah, Lucy, yeah.
You like Lucy?
Lucille
Beverly
Ball.
Hillbillies. Buddy
No,
Epson.
I didn't like that.
Oh, I used to like Buddy Epson. Jethro. Barnaby Jones. He became.
Not for
Buddy
me.
Epson became Barnaby Jones. See, we have completely different tastes. The Munsters, you know, like fucking
I like the
Munsters?
Munsters, yeah.
That was Grandpa, who we know was an early Tony Sirico with the
Al
hairdo.
Lewis. I
You know,
I met
Al
Al Lewis
Lewis?
a couple of times.
Hawaii Five-O, the music.
Nah.
You don't like Hawaii Five-O?
Nah.
Jesus Christ,
Happy
you're a weird
Days.
guy. That was good.
I liked Happy
the
Days.
Fonz. The Fonz.
I liked yeah. What else?
I told you a few weeks ago, Jake and the Fat Man, William Conrad.
Never saw it.
He did.
Beretta. I
he
liked
did-
Beretta.
Yeah.
I liked
Robert
Robert Blake. Yeah. Robert Blake was a very good actor, I thought.
Great theme song. Conrad. He did that show in the 70s. One of the first fat guys to be a series regular. William Conrad became a TV star late in life. In the 70s, he was Conrad. In the 80s, he was Jake and the Fat Man with Joe Penny, who played the contractor who Carmela makes out with.
Oh, right.
That was Jake and the Fat Man. Good show. We have very different tastes in music.
Well,
I don't
part
know
of
how
it's
we're
an age
friends.
thing with the TV. Part of it's an age.
I don't know how we're friends, quite honestly. Route 66, you remember that?
Never saw it. No, it was before me.
That was great.
We're
Route
different
66.
generations, you know. There's a generation gap. Maybe that's why, we butt heads. Daddy-o.
You're all right, Frank from Harrison. Didn't we get drunk in Harrison, New York one night? We were in the bar during the Pine Barrens.
If we were there, chances are we did get drunk.
Yeah. Frank, we probably got drunk right in your backyard. I hope we didn't hit on
I
your
think I
sister or
pissed in
something.
his bush one night. And, in his backyard. I'm sorry, Frank. Forgive me for that. It was a different time.
Frank, thank you very much. We're going to send Frank a pair of Bose headphones. Thanks for listening. Remember, new episodes are released every Monday. Please subscribe to the Talking Sopranos podcast on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcast. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram and like us on Facebook. Right now, you can get official Talking Sopranos merchandise on TalkingSopranos.com or through our YouTube channel.
Our executive producer is Jeff Sussman. Our producer is Andy Verderam. Our music was composed and performed by Elijah Amatin. You can hear more of Elijah's music and the band Zopa, which Elijah and I play in together, by clicking the links on TalkingSopranos.com. There are tickets for our August 13th show. The 14th is sold out at the Mercury Lounge in New York. You can go to mercuryloungeny.com. Production crew includes Ty Verderam and Sierra Sharippa. We record Talking Sopranos at NYC Podcasting, which is New York's premier podcasting studio. Talking Sopranos is a PodJams production.
All right, pal.
Good job. See you later.
Always good to talk to you, and we'll talk soon.